Welcome to the Ball and Blockchain podcast. I'm Nils Smith, joined by my co-host, Justin McKelvey. Justin, welcome to the podcast.
What's going on? Good to be here. Good to be back talking about some interesting stuff today. So I'm excited for the topic.
What is going on is you and I were destroyed, like a lot of other people, in the crypto markets over the last couple of weeks. And I'm sure you're getting the question, like me, of like, what happened? Why did it crash? What have we learned from the crash? And so I would love for you to share, like, were you impacted by the crash, and then we'll dig into what happened.
Oh, was I impacted? Yeah, I think I'm just now getting over the de-stressing from like 2 weeks ago's crash. 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half crash,
Yeah.
and losing a lot of money. Like my parents called me the other day, and I was just kind of like chit chatting about everything, and they asked if I'd lost any money, and I realized that I got to a point where I was embarrassed to tell them how much I lost. So that's where I knew it was too much. I was like, okay, this is a problem. So, yeah, I lost a lot of money in that crash, but
Yes.
I don't know. Super interesting to learn. It's good to be on the other side. I knew I was gambling with what was going on in crypto as a percentage. So again, not financial advice, but financial advice. Diversify your stuff so you don't want to put 100% all eggs in one basket with almost anything in life. And so
Yeah.
I didn't lose everything, but I lost a big chunk of what I was gambling in the crypto market. So
Yeah.
it's been a little bit of a learning curve to get over the stress and being mad, I would say, about losing some money.
I think that a lot of people, and they always say in crypto, only put in what you're going to be okay losing. And so just because you're going to be okay losing it doesn't mean it doesn't still hurt. And so it's not like you want to lose it. You don't expect to lose the money, but you invest to what you are not going to be devastated, financially, when you lose that. And that is part of crypto. Is it is risky. I think the other side is people assume, that you and I, because we study crypto so much and spend a lot of time on it, that we know when the market is going to take off and when the market is going to crash. And while we have been seeing, decline in the market, it actually, to me, communicated it, buy when it's down, so when it's up, while it's in decline, this is a good time probably to buy. We didn't realize it was going to decline, crash. And so the core crash, though, Justin, that we experienced, and I experienced not as definitively as you, because you were invested in what I perceived to be a much safer investment than what the things that I've been diving into.
Yeah.
But it was Terra Luna, was the big issue. Can you, from your perspective, describe what led to the Terra Luna crash in particular?
Yeah. It's funny. I was talking to my barber yesterday. I was getting my hair cut. Shout out to Santi if he listens. But we were talking about this yesterday because he's not in crypto, and he'll run all kinds of crypto thoughts by me. He's like, dude, what's up with this? And so I actually realized the analogy was with Elon trying to buy Twitter, right? So he was buying shares of Twitter, and he got to 9% or whatever it was. And then Twitter's board basically said, we are not going to allow you to buy more than 10 or 14%, I think it was. He essentially said, that's where you have to stop. So you can't have control, essentially, of the majority of our stock. And that was kind of what was happening. No, you don't want anybody to get to one point where one person controls the majority of a company on a publicly traded company. With crypto, those regulations aren't in place yet. So essentially what happened is Luna has a stable coin that ties to it called UST. UST is meant to be tied to $1. So it was always 1-to-1. One UST is $1. That way, kind of is always tracking a market and keeping stable. So that's why it was a stable coin. And essentially what somebody did, people are saying the word attack, and I don't know what to call it yet these days, but basically one person or a group of people who owned a big chunk of UST pulled that out and caused UST to drop heavily, which caused everyone else to react and pull their money out as well. And then that spiral just kept going. So it was like, once people saw this was going down and that was going down and UST wasn't coming back up to equal $1, it just kept dropping 5% more, 5% more. And then eventually it just could not stop. Everyone kept pulling money out, and then it went to zero. So now it's at zero. And I kept looking at that, and a lot of the apps that are tied to Luna that you could exchange money on were crashing because so many people were trying to get in and pull their money out that you couldn't pull your money out fast enough. It just kept moving, which caused more panic and caused more people to try to get their money out. So it just was a spiral that was kind of uncontrollable. It's interesting because that, like you said, was considered more stable. There's a lot of stuff was being built on Terra that I think, I don't know if I mentioned it before in the podcast, but a lot of people were building on it. So it seemed like a very safe investment because there were so many big companies basing their future on building stuff onto this specific blockchain. So that created a lot of safety, but I think it was one of those scenarios that just a little bit uncontrollable. There's a lot of talk right now about rebuilding on a different chain. Since the community was so strong, there are a ton of people behind it. And I think that's one of the things that's super interesting to me is, I think I made a post on LinkedIn about this yesterday or day before, but it was about like following the team behind any project, right? So whether it's a startup or blockchain or, I don't know, your group of friends trying to do something together, like you kind of want to follow that leadership and invest in people you trust. So I think that network will continue to grow. Just kind of interesting. And like, it's like a rebuilding phase again of like, all right, your baseball team got torn down because we sold the big guy. Now what do we do? Everybody's trying to regroup and reassess and see what to do next. So I think there will be a little bit of a build back, but it'll take a long time to build that trust, I think. So,
so let's talk about your perspective. No, I mean, I think it's, that's what I understand too, as to what happened. And then too, what happened is because that one specific coin crashed so hard, that led the whole market to feel unstable of like, is crypto crashing? And everyone was kind of selling everything simultaneously.
The stock market kind of followed that as well. And usually like crypto is following the stock market. This one was a little bit different in that, like, because everybody started to go, whoa, what's happening? Because it was, Terra was the third or fourth largest behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so for something like that to crash is like, I don't want to say Apple, another huge company like that goes within a week, goes from a very strong company to absolutely zero, is going to cause a lot of panic in all money markets, I think. And so I think that's what caused a little bit of a freak out.
Yeah, and I think it's eye opening because it does. There's a side of feeling like, like, is this going to? Could this happen to Ethereum? Could this happen to Bitcoin? Could this happen to? And I think it's really. I mean, it's hard to know, and to it does. It's lost. I think the crypto market in general has lost trust, and this is not new to the crypto because it's market in that people have come and gone, and people have been like they hear about it and like, I got to get into this, and they get into this, and then they like, it's scary and they bail. And so it was the crypto market in 2021 had done so well, had attracted so much new attention, to then have struggled to start 2022 and then to have this crash is. It's not good news for the market. Now, practically, it seems like a good time to buy. I'm curious, Justin, does this like, okay, now I'm freaked out. I can't invest anymore into crypto, or are you like, okay, now it's low, I need to invest even more? How are you approaching the state of the market following the crash?
Interesting question. I think I'm, just personality wise, I'm kind of like mid-level risk. I'm not the most risk adverse person, but I'm also heavily into cryptos, which that's way more risky than a lot of my other friends. So it's kind of this interesting mix in my brain. But I think it just verified to me after I got over the annoyance of it for a week of like, are you kidding me that I just lost all that money? Once that was over, I think I realized like, oh, I've always been this way there. Everything's down. Now is the time to invest in anything. Like no matter what, I mean, obviously something stable, good people behind it, whether it's crypto or the stock market. But I think to me that it just really solidified that I need to continue to diversify. And I don't know if that means more diversity or just, I don't know. I kind of look at that just differently, but I think I'm going to keep investing. The other day I was like, all right, I need to take another 30% of my investment funds and do this with it because I wanted to, or into crypto because everything's down right now. So maybe that means I buy a little more Bitcoin and Ethereum because I feel that those are more stable. And more stable to me means the market cap is so high that it's going to take somebody with an insane amount of money or a group of people to make it crash. So it would have to be a very large collective effort to make something that's that big fail, which
Yes.
was kind of the scenario with Terra. So it's something to keep an eye on for sure. But I think long-term blockchain will win. And so for me, it is like put money in things that you know long-term will be successful, and not
Yes.
things like less percentage, less money into things that are short-term gains, because that's a gamble. Everybody wants quick cash, but if you're putting something into something that's a gamble, it could easily just as easily crash as it could go to a million. So
Yes.
I think for me, I just want to be safe with that. Of like, yeah, I will put a percentage in those gambles, but that percentage is going to be smaller right now, I think, versus things that I know will continue to grow in the long term. More like a mutual fund or that kind of an approach where you can, or an index fund where you can put stuff into a shared collective that's like, all right, likely this will continue to grow and things will be okay. So
Yes. Yes.
I haven't done it yet. I've just been kind of holding still, of like letting the pain, let the bruise go away a little bit. But everything's down right now, so I'm definitely, whenever I see it jump just a little bit, I'm like, ooh, I should have bought already. So that's where my head's at initially. Is like, ooh, wait, it went up 3%. I should definitely spend money right now. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, what are you doing? Have you spent any money?
No.
Or
Well,
any-
and I think it's you, and this is where you and I are wired very different. Of I am wired for risk, and I would love to be throwing more money into the crypto markets. I am also though married to somebody who is not as wired to risk, and I have to process through those things. And we just came off of April 15th here in America, which is tax day,
Yeah.
And so practically the IRS took a lot more of our money this year that I would love to be putting towards crypto investments, but it just timing is tough for me cash flow wise to be investing more. But I'll say, Justin, that while I don't have the extra cash, because I really have put most of my investing funds, I've got very little in stocks and traditional investments at this point. I have most of it in crypto, and I lost a ton of money from my savings and my investments. But I am on the macro. I'm in agreement of like I know where I feel very confident in where this is going, and being diversified in crypto, like the market as a whole, is like there's going to be other crashes like Terra Luna, and we don't know what those are going to be. Just like like you and I grew up in Houston, Enron crashing, like we experienced how a massive company can just crash with knowledge that we weren't aware of. And it just didn't seem possible and affected a lot of people. It's going to happen. And so I just, the further I go into crypto, blockchain, NFTs, the more bullish I become on the excitement of the future of Web3. And so when I've got extra money, I'm going to be putting it in crypto and other crypto projects. The project that I am focused on right now is Presearch. That's where most of my money has gone, and where I'm most invested. But it's an interesting day, interesting time, and I think everyone's got to figure out how they address it. But the crypto crash it's a very real thing that affected a lot of people in a pretty significant way.
Yeah, you did. Sorry, the cough right there. You mentioned Presearch. We did a previous episode on Presearch. I just want to throw that in real quick. Go back and check that out, because I invested more into Presearch this last week, which will be a decentralized search engine. So I'm just going to plug that again because I think that's pretty cool. They had a write-up in Wired magazine, and that was something else that kind of got me. I was invested very minimally, but I added a little bit more to it. Just seeing their value and that other people are starting to see it now. That's kind of one of those research the project, understand it, see what's going on behind the scenes. And I think I jumped onto, they had like a webinar deal I jumped onto with the founder, and he was talking, and as they were moving over this week to mainnet. So anyway, I thought that was a super cool project that you got me onto early, and I've just kind of slowly followed it without going all in on that. But I think it's been really cool to see their development so far. That's something I'll invested in this last week. That's the only thing I put money into this last week that wasn't already there. So I'm trying to think what else I did. Anyway, that was it. And VCon was this last week. Just the other things, like speaking of investments and stuff. And I think I almost bought a couple NFTs, so I definitely was digging into a few different projects there, because you see that a conference like VCon will highlight other projects they're excited about. So you get these other artists or other projects that are representing themselves as NFTs for future growth. And so I think that was kind of interesting. So that was another thing I was kind of looking into. But anyway, just wanted to plug Presearch because I did spend money on that this week.
It's good. It's good. Well, that's I think that covers the crash. We'll probably talk more about VCon, even though we weren't there in another episode, because I think there were some takeaways in the NFT space coming out of that. Of there's a lot of movement on that side of blockchain innovation and progress. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. We will talk to you again on the next episode.